Hey there, everybody. It's RCK, and I'm glad to have you back here again today, of course. And we're going to be going over another national overview for a nation you might not have ever seen before. Now, this is going to be a mod nation, of course. I believe I was told this was a standalone mod nation created by Casus Belli. He's a mod maker, I believe. Other than that, this is going to be well, if you've checked out the LA Swarm Hive mod overview, I will be having a Disciples game. There'll be four of us playing in all, or in total. Zan will be playing Asgard. I'll be playing Swarm Hive. Um, Coconut will be playing Alar. And Novell will be playing Trilix. I think that's what they're called. I'll be doing a national overview for them too. But I do want to just kind of have in a way, just a little bit of knowledge that people can refer back to when I'm talking about these nations and you see these nations in battles and things as such, because I will be playing a team game with them, of course. And it's always fun to do these nations you really have never seen before. And looking off the bat here, we have a lot of different kinds of units in this roster, but we will talk about them later. Of course, we will start off with the national features. Brain-eating illithids, very interesting. Your military be undead, caveman, troglodyte, slave, powerful hybrids. Pretty cool. Your magic is death, earth, astral, minor water, so we won't see much water there. Blood and nature. Very, very nice paths overall to have. I like there's blood. We'll have to see how much blood there actually is. Your priests are weak. Not too bad. As long as you have astral, hopefully if you have astral priest, you'll be pretty set. Standard forts, architects of Alar can build better forts. That's good. So you have architects. So let's go ahead and click on some of these sites. So we have the climbing city. This is going to give us two of our mages here, and then two earth, one astral per turn. Next we have plains of Tartarus, and that gives us two death and some more of our sacreds that we have. And then finally we have a brain farm, and it increases growth. How interesting. Brain farm. So we have a lot of units here, and we will start off with the Undead Worker. Now this is a 1 gold, 30 resource, 1 recruitment point unit. It is a skeleton, it is undead, and they are carrying a pickaxe with dealing 23 pierce damage. Now this is a very, very killy unit that you have here. Anything with high prot, more than likely this is going to be able to shoot through it. But you have to remember, at the end of the day, this is a skeleton. Attack skill of 8, defense skill of 6. You have to be careful. He might not be able to get those hits in depending on how much defense skill the opponent has. But they are pierce resistant, which is nice. They have their cold and they have their poison resistance like most skeletons do. 50 morale, which is also very nice. You don't have to worry about them routing anytime soon. 7 magical resistance kind of sucks. Need not to eat, of course. Mindless, of course. Never heals. Yep. They do have a siege bonus with their pickaxe, so that's very, very nice. We'll look at that in just a minute. But the main part about these undead workers is that they give you a resource bonus of 1. So the more that you make, the more that you have sitting in your castle, the more these guys are going to be able to produce due to the fact of everyone's going to count towards the resource bonus of the total amount of resources that you need to make one. So the more you have, the faster you can make them. And of course, they have no upkeep. So very, very cool, very, very unique unit here. Definitely could be used. I wouldn't necessarily say front life, but definitely as a chaff unit. This is definitely going to take out a lot of heavily armored units. And let's look at their strength to see check out their siege bonus, and that is a 2.4. Yes, they have a low siege defense of only 0.1 due to the fact of them being skeletons. But the siege bonus of 2.4 is really, really nice for a 1 gold unit. You really get a lot of value here. Even if this is just a chaff you bring along to siege down forts, this is what they're meant for. Very nice. And yeah, most skeletons have a lot lower hit point pool than this, and then 14 protection as well. This is not bad. This is actually pretty good. Low magic resistance kind of sucks. Banishment is really going to hurt them. And combat kind of going to hurt them too just because they're low skills. But other than that, this is a very easy massable unit that you have here. Next, we have Pale One Slave. Now, this is, of course, on Garthan Pale One. It is a slave. It's amphibious, so you do have the ability to go underwater. Interestingly enough, these guys do not have the amphibian tag, so they cannot go underwater. but your pale ones can. So it is a way that you can get access to the water. 6 gold, 2 resources, 9 recruitment points. Very below average attack and defense skill. Hit points are a little bit higher than normal just due to the fact of them being pale ones. Size 3, protection 2, very, very low protection. I mean, these are slaves. You don't really want to put a lot of money into them. Magical resistance of 12 actually isn't that bad. I'm surprised to see that high magical resistance. 2 gold per year, so take that 2 divided by 12, and that's how much they'll cost per turn. Of course, they have their slave tag, and they have a siege bonus of 2. Very, very nice. They are cold-blooded, so you have to keep that in mind. You don't want to get caught with your pants down going into Cold 3 Nation in winter and them throwing fatigue spells at you. You will definitely fall asleep. So let's look at their siege strength, actually. So 3.4 for this slave. Very, very nice. Overall, just from looking at these 2 units here, you know that the capability of, wouldn't necessarily say wars, but their sieging capability is pretty amazing as far as this nation goes. You're going to be able to tear down those walls very, very fast and very, very efficiently due to the fact of your either free upkeep units, being your undead, or your pale one slaves. And next we have a couple more slaves here. We have these 2 caveman units. We have the first caveman slave, of course a caveman with a great club, dealing 28 blunt damage, very, very powerful, but they are undisciplined, so that is a downside to them. So you will have to keep that in mind, rather low morale. Upkeep is kind of pretty high for a slave, as far as a slave unit goes. 17 strength, they're going to have a very high siege strength. They still have a 2.9 siege strength. They do have fire and cold resistance, so that is fairly nice. They have dark vision 50, isn't too bad. But 2 protection, I mean, yeah, these guys are going to be able to hit really, really hard. And the skills are about average, honestly. But, yeah, they can hit really, really hard, but they're also going to be taking a lot of hits back. 2 protection is really not going to stop much. Defense skill 11 is fairly average. Next, we have the Caveman Boulder Thrower, and I just like the way he looks. I'm just carrying around that large boulder. A range 6 weapon, 32 blunt damage. Let's see, he has 3 of them, actually. I'm surprised he has 3. So very, very, very powerful ranged weapon here. And then his club is still dealing 21 blunt damage, not too bad. Still 7 gold per year, 2 protection, very, very average as far as that goes. They do have a little, have 0.3 more siege strength than the other slave does. What's their cost? 18 gold, 1 resource, 8 recruitment points. Let's look at the other one, 18 gold. So, okay, so they are priced the same. Quite interesting. But 2 interesting units you have there. So let's get into the rest that you have. And now this is going to be more... They almost look like Agarthan units as well, but we will have to look into like Ichthid Agarthan units, it looks like. Then we have these troglodytes, and then we have this Ichthid unit, and then we have this cave grub type guy, which looks really, really cool, by the way. I think he looks really interesting. So here we have a hybrid shock trooper, and let's click on him. Some cavemen are born barely intelligent enough that a illithid larva can form a hybrid. Interesting. So this is a illithid and a caveman hybrid. That is really, really cool, actually. A 25 gold unit, 38 resources, 25 recruitment points, 16 strength. So they have 2.6 strength or 2.6 siege strength. Defense skill 13 is not bad. I feel like that's due to their shield that they have. Attack skill 10, okay. Protection 17, very, very nice. Hit points 23, morale 13, magic resistance 11, okay, I like it, I like it. Poor amphibious, so these guys can go underwater, nice. They will take some penalties, though. Fire resistance is nice to have on any unit, along with cold resistant. Ooh, and they do have spirit sight, very nice built-in spirit sight there. And if you notice, they have a ranged ability as well. It's only in link 10, which is surprising. A weak mind blast. They only have 1 ammunition for it. But armor negating, paralysis damage, strength of will not added, magical resistant negates, pin bonus, weapon affected by pin bonus, doesn't affect mindless range, precision. This weapon can be used in melee 2, extra effect psychic damage. How interesting. Pretty cool. And they have a short trident, so that's 21 pierce damage. That's going to be able to tear through a lot of damage, and them having these nice shields, these kite shields, is going to block a lot of arrow fire. in combination with their protection is going to be very, very sweet. I definitely like these units. Even though they're high resource costs, you do have your skeletons that is going to increase the total amount of resources that you have, so you have to keep that in mind. Cool, cool, I like it. So we have the hybrid shock bone breaker, or yeah, bone breaker. Iron cudgel, yeah. So it's a 30 blunt damage weapon. That is nice right there. 28 gold, 32 resources, 35 recruitment points, 17 protection, strength about the same, 3.2 siege strength. All the stats are about the same as the other one, along with having a weak mind blast. Now, honestly enough, I mean, I like these bone breakers a lot because honestly, anything that you run into, you're going to be able to kill. There's not much that's going to be able to stand up against this. And even then, you still have some decent attack and defense skill. So I do see it. I see these are pretty good. Yes, you won't have the shield, so you might be taking arrow damage, but I doubt you'll be taking short bow damage. If anything, it might be chip damage at all. Other than that, you will probably only see damage really when you are fighting against crossbowmen. And you do still have a weak mind blast, range 20 or range 10 on one ammunition, I think. Yeah. Meteorite cap. It's good you're wearing a helmet at least. Low defense skill. Very interesting. Very cool unit here. I said Bonebreaker variant shock troopers are trained with a cudgel and usually used to smash the monsters of the deep caves. How cool. Next we have the Troglodyte Slave. 45 gold, 1 resource, slave unit. Morale 50, not bad. It is a magical unit, so you have to keep that in mind. You might have some trouble keeping large amounts of these. Let's actually look at their upkeep. 18 per year. Don't really like it as a slave unit. It's still rather expensive. Yes, they do have trample, they have their claw, they're size 4, but really not liking them overall. They do have dark vision, which is nice. But they are animals, so that is a downside. And they're mindless. Lobotomized, greatly impaired the combat skills and magical resistance. However, they will still make effective tramplers. Yeah, they have very, very low attack skill and defense skill, and low protection, low magical resistance. Yeah, that's having animals with low magical resistance is always really sketchy, especially going into the late game. So that one's all done. So we have the Illithid Reaver can only be recruited in your capital. And I can already tell I'm going to like the way this unit is. They have Life Drain, they have Poison Claw. Stats, average, average, average. 28 hit points, size 4. Size 4, I'm surprised they're size 4. Protection of 5, that kind of sucks. Magical resistance of 14, morale 15, not bad. They do cost 55 gold, you have to keep that in mind. But the thing that I like here, 22 gold per year. They're sacred, they have blunt resistance, pierce resistance, they're invulnerable 15, poison resistance, they are undead, they are a magical being with spirit sight, but they are undisciplined. That is a downside. And they have void sanity, which is interesting. But I do feel like these units will actually be very, very good expanders. Honestly enough, due to the fact of them having invulnerability and pierce and blunt resistant, and whatever bless you may have, you can put on them. Very, very nice. These guys can't go underwater though. I was gonna say if you could go underwater with these guys, the poison resistance is very handy because you notice a lot of underwater indies actually do have poison weapons. But they do not have that ability, which is interesting. It could be something just due to the fact of them being undead. Because I know, like, even though lictors are undead for Ermor, they can't go underwater still. Says Reavers cannibalize their kin, escape the plains of Tartarus, and nightmare started. Ninjas paralyze their victims. Ghouls considered dead. I was wondering if it said anything about the water. I don't think so. Consume brain survive like ghouls. They can. Oh, yeah. Well, it says it right there. Also, like ghouls, they cannot travel underwater. So they're basically a ghoul. That's quite interesting. But I do like this unit a lot. It's very, very nice. Yes, maybe they could be I don't know. I don't particularly like their attacks that much, but I do like this right here. Mostly this. Not necessarily that. I do not like the undisciplined, but guess you have to have bad when you're good. So lastly, we have a hybrid cave grub cavalry. Quite interesting unit here to look at. So cool. Some of these guys thought they were quite interesting. Now they do cost 75 gold. They're not sacred. They do cost 53 resources. Now that's about basically a heavy cav. And these guys can only be recruited in all caves. 17 protection, same for all your other hybrid units. Now I wonder, I'm not entirely sure if the grub itself, when the rider dies, the grub keeps going. I'm not sure. Cave grub slave are extremely useful in sieges. Oh, I bet they have a lot of siege strength. Formidable. Be killed, the armored cave grub will still continue to fight with the armies of Alar. Now I wonder if you go to a castle, if you get the rider back or not. That's interesting. They have a corrosive bite, corrosion. Oof, nice. 19 pierce damage for that bite. The short trident, of course, doing 22 pierce damage. A length 4 weapon, very, very nice. Then they still have their weak mind blast. Very cool. High defense skill, of course, because they are a cavalry unit. Average attack skill, not too bad, but their strength is 17, so they'll have high siege strength. Fire resistance 5, cold resistance 5 is nice. They have spirit sight, nice. A siege bonus of plus 10. Oh my goodness. That is nice. So that every one of these units will have a siege bonus of 12.9. Wow. That is impressive. Very, very nice. I don't know how many of these guys you'd want. I would at least probably make a couple, but they are just so expensive. 60 gold a year. 75 gold up front. Oof. They're very, very cool units, but I don't know about their usefulness. That's something we'll have to think about. I don't know. We'll have to see if Coconut wants to play them or not. But I honestly think your hybrid bone breakers are probably still one of your strongest. I like the Trident guys just because they have a shield, they have a relatively high length weapon, so they're going to be in high strength, so they're going to be able to repel some. But yeah, these guys are interesting. Definitely not. Wouldn't make an army of them. I just have like 6 in a group or something. Have them on attack rear or something like that, just to have cavalry abilities. I guess. How fast are they? Oh, they're so slow. They're so slow. 5 combat speed. Oh my goodness, they're slower than our infantry, so they're not. My goodness. Oh man, that speed sucks. Never mind. I think maybe the battle will be over by the time they got to the rear. So we have a Pale One Scout. So of course you have a scout for this nation. Quite interesting. And it's cool that you have an amphibious scout. That is pretty cool. The stealthy 50 is not bad either. Cool, and they are a slave scout, so they are cheaper than most scouts, I believe. Cool. You have a hybrid shot commander, weak mind blast, short trident. It's a League 3. Not too much to say. They do have Taskmaster, so using these guys with your slaves would be very, very nice. And these guys have Port Amphibian. Of course, they can go underwater, lead your slaves underwater. Magical leadership of 40. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. There's a couple of things you can take along with this, your troglodytes and stuff like that. And then just a regular leadership of 40. A 70 gold commander for this. Not too bad. It's nice he has his magical leadership, though. That's very, very nice. That looks interesting. Next, we have a Lord of the Dead. I like it already. Okay, I see Astral 1, Death 2. Like it already. And he's also a priest. So here you have priest level 3. You have a divine blessing already. Not only that, being a astral death nation is very, very nice. If anyone ever seen Scalaria, and their magic is great. There's a lot of very good things you can cast for it. And of course, this can be definitely a darkness casting nation, just due to the fact of how many units you have either night or dark vision or Spirit Sight. 215 gold, rather expensive. 30 hit point, size 4, protection 5. 18 MR, pretty good. They do kill your population, so you have to be careful. They're a magical being. They're amphibious. Nice. Sacred. Nice. Oh, very low magic path chance to get anything higher than that, but Death 3 or Astral 2 would be very nice. Undead leadership 180. That's probably why they're called Lord of the Dead. They're going to be definitely bringing the undead around, moving them around. Magical leadership of 50. Not bad. In leadership of 10, of course. Pretty good. I do like this unit, Life Drain, Mind Blast, but he's going to be wanting to cast his spells anyway instead of doing weapon or using things like that. But having a regular Mind Blast with 10 ammunition isn't too bad. So quite interesting indeed. I do like this. Interesting that he has a population killer of 10, but 10 is so low it might not matter that much if you only have a couple of these guys. Pretty cool unit. Next we have a Flesh Shaper. Very interesting name, of course. 230 gold, resources, 2 recruitment point. Very average stats, much like the other one. So you already have an Astral 2 here. Nice. And here is where you get your blood. So you have nature in your communion. You have, of course, you can do blood communions. You can do blood Sabbaths anyway. But having blood randoms is nice to get early blood economy up. And even going into the late game, having a blood one is much nicer than have to bootstrap into it with scouts or any other unit that you may have. So, knowing that this is a blood nation now, it is quite interesting. It is very, very nice. Amphibious, research, it's okay. Spirit Sight, population kills 20, and it's a Dominion monster summoner. So what this actually does, it summons. What was it that summons? It summons Foul Spawn, I think. Yeah, Foul Spawn. So, I mean, going high Dominion and having just loads and loads of Foul Spawn, that could be your chaff. That could be. I think they do cost upkeep, though, if I remember correctly from what Coconut told me. Because I asked them about a few things about the nation. They do cost upkeep, but you will get a lot of them if you want to get them, of course. Quite interesting. And just you will be making a few of these guys just to get the blood and nature paths. Haven't really, I haven't looked at the rest of the nation so far, but my assumption is you'll be wanting to make up more of these guys for sure. So next we have the Illithid Noble. It looks like a Illithid that is being pulled by 2 troglodytes on his floating chair here, I guess. 350 gold, takes 2 turns. Is this cap only? No, this is recruit anywhere. Surprising. Very, very nice. Earth 1, so here you have some earth magic introduced into your communions. Astral 2, Death 1. Here's your randoms. So you could get an Earth 2 or a Death 2 or Astral 3. They have Trample, Gluttony, Spirit Sight, Void Sandy, Taskmaster 3. Kills 30 pop per turn. Unsurroundable, Combat Caster. Wow. Quite interesting here. Leadership of 80. Magical leadership of 65. And undead leadership of 70. Wow, okay. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Pretty interesting unit. Something that I was mentioned is that we could possibly do things like Turbo Communions or Sindhars. Some things you might want to consider if you ever played this nation. So pretty cool. I'd say in Turbo Communions because of our high HP pool here. 30 hit points, 30 hit points, 30 hit points. Yeah, we'll definitely be able to have enough HP gain per turn or revig or whatever it is added onto it, because being a astral nation that has all of these sacred, not you, Lord of the Deep is. So, say regen and stuff like that added onto an astral communion, casting personal regen, that would be 6 HP per turn. You have earth in your communion, so you can do summon earth power, things like that. You get reinvig. We could definitely work around it where you could do it just right, where you won't you'll have a turbo communion. So next we'll look at the Aloon. Is that what it's called? Ahoon? Yeah, it's an H there. Ahoons? Interesting. 240 gold unit, 2 recruitment points. Are these cap only? Yes, cap only. 1 water, 1 earth, 1 death. And you have a chance to random water, earth, astral, or death. Interesting. Above average skills here. Surprising. Protection 5, hit points of 32. Sacred, fear 6, that's nice. Especially if you use these guys to thug. Blunt resistance, pierce resistance, and vulnerable 15. Great for thugs. Poison resistance. Stealthy 80, oof, nice. Spirit sight, nice. So many nice things just added on to a sacred mage here. You have a very, very high ceiling for thugging with this guy. He is very expensive though, so you have to keep that in mind. But he is only 1 turn to recruit. Pretty cool. Mind Blast, Life Drain, Poison Claw. Has all of his slots. Yeah, definitely a very nice unit here. Trying to hurry up and get through this. I don't know what time we're currently at. I'll look though. 26 minutes. I'll try to end it off about 30 minutes. Next we have the Architect of Alar. 180 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points. Looking through. Magical resistance of 18 is nice. Other than that, everything's average. He is a mason. This is how you're going to make your citadels. Population killer of 10. Spirit sight. Siege bonus of 10. Oh, that's because he's a mason. Yeah. So he's doing 12.6 siege strength. Amphibious. 10% random to get earth. So you have a chance to get an earth 3, which is not bad. Be able to make some hammers with that. I mean, you have other things you can make hammers with too, but Astral 1, Earth 2. Later on, I can definitely see you casting things like Army of Gold, Army of Lead, stuff like that. Some very, very high Earth spells with this. I mean, you can cast things like Earthquake stuff. It really depends on what you want, because, I mean, you have relatively high hit points. Earthquake is not going to bother you. What, it might deal 8, maybe 10 damage to some of your units. But to units that, or against armies that might just wreck, I mean, it might be definitely worth it. Castle defense bonus of 10. Very cool. Very cool. I like this unit. As far as... It's tough to decide on what you actually want as your researcher. Because all your mages are relatively expensive. I mean, yes, your Lord of Deep is sacred, so he has reduced upkeep cost. Interesting. That's something you definitely have to think about. The Dreamer of Tartarus can only be recruited in your capital. 420 gold, 4 recruitment points, so it'll take 2 turns or 1 and a third for a citadel. Magical resistance of 20, average attack skill, or not average, a little bit above average. I see they have homesickness 30. That is not good. This unit will need to stay close to home in order to survive. If it leaves home province, it will take a percentage of maximum hit points and damage every month. So these guys cannot leave your capital. They're floating, ethereal, magic beings. Sacred. You have more blood. You have a chance to go up to blood 2, even blood 3. Or death 3. But they're astral 3s. Priest level 2s. Magical leadership of 150, but it really doesn't matter due to the fact of them being homesick. Huh. How interesting of a mage here to have. I wonder if there's like an item or... I don't know. This is something I'll have to ask about. Very interesting. If I do post the game, as far as that goes, I will have to ask about these dreamers here and how they were used. If you ever made any of them, I suppose. Interesting. So I'll read this little background to them, get a little bit more of an insight. So the Shard of Relay was not the only shard that fell upon the world. another smaller hit the world with such force of wild magic it buried itself deep underground, and then came to rest in the chambers of Tartarus. With a typical illithid ambition and hubris, the child of the star built Alar, the climbing city, that will reach the surface and then the void above the world. Their arrival did not go unnoticed, however. Soon they were besieged by all manners of monsters, undead or otherwise, prisoners wanting to escape, or guards trying to subdue the intruders. So I assume that's the undead that we have, the cavemen for us being underground. Yeah, the cavemen underground. Interesting. They kept the invaders at bay, though much sacrifice and sturdy walls of meteorite iron lined the chains of vanquished Tartarans. Yet Tartarus is not just themselves vowing to keep guiding Alar through with their telepathy. The nightmares got worse, the food scarce, some illithids turned to cannibalism, devouring the brains of their brethren. That was the Reaver that we had, of course, and I guess some of the mages as well. They ran into the plains of Tartarus, sustaining themselves on the forever reforming, rotting flesh of brains of its occupants. My goodness. Other illithids found the brains of the living creatures, eased their nightmares, let plenty went mad from the nightmares. After many centuries, the climbing city reached out to Tartarus. Pale ones, troglodytes, cavemen, and other denizens of the deep were enslaved and farmed for their brains, something the troglodytes did not need to fear. I guess they didn't have much of a brain at all. They were altered by flesh shapers using void magic and illithid's own parasitic larvae to create hybrid monstrosities. The suffering won't stop, but it subsided thanks to the fresh influx of brains. Still, from time to time, the nightmares shatter the soul of some unfortunate illithid. Now the Alar approaches the surfaces, and the destiny of the children of the star is at hand. Wow, quite interesting background here. Really cool nation, guys. Hope you enjoyed the overview and hope we see a lot of cool battles in the upcoming series, of course. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.